All right, we are now streaming live on YouTube. Today is February the 5th, 2024. I am Judge Case Johnson. This is the preliminary hearing of State of Georgia versus Justin Gitsy, charged in warrant number 2023 CW 54706, the charge of riot in a penal institution. Representing the state is Attorney Cheryl Freeman. Representing the defendant is Attorney Jabbar Rogers. Attorney Freeman, you're a witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Investigator Rogers, would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony about to provide in the matter of State of Georgia versus Justin Getsy will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
You can lower your...
And just remember, we have an interpreter, so we got to go a little slower.
And I guess let me ask the interpreter, was that pace that I was speaking, was that okay, or do I need to slow down for you?
I would appreciate it if you would slow down a little bit, because I have to indicate who is speaking, because the defendant cannot necessarily see on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Investigator Rogers, could you tell us your name and how you're employed?
Letitia Rogers, I'm an investigator with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office?
Since May of last year.
Were you working with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office on September 11th of 2023?
Yes.
On that particular day, were you given an assignment to investigate an incident that occurred on September 9th of 2023 involving Mr. Getsy?
Yes.
If you could, please tell us what you learned from your investigation.
It happened on September 9th, 2023 at approximately 8:05. It was a physical altercation that occurred with inmate Coleman. It was inside of the Clayton County Jail. It was Section 1, Unit 8. Inmate Coleman was physically assaulted by 5 inmates, in which Justin Getsy was one of those inmates.
Were you able to speak to any witnesses who saw the incident?
Yes, Correction Officer Blanks, he witnessed the incident, in which he also stated that Justin Getsy were one of the inmates involved in a physical altercation with Coleman.
How many inmates were involved in this incident involving inmate Coleman?
It was about 5 or 6.
Were you able to interview the victim in this case, Mr. Coleman?
At the time, Lieutenant Brock, he interviewed the victim and gave me a statement.
As part of your investigation, were you able to review his statement?
Yes, I was.
In his statement, did he identify any of the inmates who were involved?
No, he didn't. He said that he was hit from behind, so he didn't see anybody, but he knows from voices and the people that are around him how many times he were hit, that he said it was at least 5 or 6 inmates.
Was this incident captured on one of the video surveillance cameras?
Yes, it was.
Has that video surveillance footage been placed into evidence?
I have it on a USB inside of my case file.
Did Mr. Getsy have permission to engage in this type of behavior?
No.
Did all of this happen in Clayton County?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have for this witness.
All right, Attorney Rogers.
Thank you. Investigator, you're the lead on this case?
I am.
And if I understood correctly, you said that there was a video that had been placed in the evidence. Is that correct?
I have it on a USB inside of my case file.
Okay. And the video, from what, and I'm basing this off of what I've seen of the warrant application, the video, it does not show Mr. Getsy doing anything specifically.
No, Mr. Getsy is under the video camera. It's like when the incident occurred, he ran under the camera and he's seen running underneath the camera while the altercation is occurring. So he's running towards the altercation as it's occurring, but he runs under the camera.
And so just so I'm clear, because I don't want to assume that when you say that he's under the camera, that is it safe to say that he's not captured on camera participating in the incident?
No, you don't see him actually physically assaulting Coleman. You just see him coming under the camera during the altercation.
And if I understood it correctly, Mr. Coleman, he's the alleged victim in the case, correct?
Yes.
Was he ever shown any sort of photo lineup or anything like that?
Not that I recall.
And did he ever specifically say that Mr. Getsy had done anything to him?
No, he did not.
And have you ever spoken or interviewed Mr. Getsy?
When I did attempt to interview Mr. Getsy, he advised me that he was deaf. He had inmate Smith to speak for him, in which I guess inmate Smith was able to speak with him through sign language. And he stated that he was not involved in the altercation and he was trying to pull inmate Smith away from the altercation. That's why he was under the camera.
And when you say, well, let me ask this, as far as inmate Smith, he was serving as an interpreter, is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Do you know if he has any official training or anything as far as American Sign Language goes?
I don't.
And then you said that, if I understood it correctly, that as you understood what inmate Smith was saying, that Mr. Getsy said he was pulling Smith out of the altercation.
Correct.
Is this the same inmate Smith that is supposed to be interpreting for Mr. Getsy?
Correct.
Did inmate Smith say the same thing about what Mr. Getsy was doing?
Yes, he did.
No further questions at this time.
Any redirect, Ms. Freeman?
No, Your Honor, the state rests.
All right, closing arguments.
The
Attorney
state
Freeman?
waives opening.
All right, Attorney Rogers.
Thank you. Judge, I'm asking for a dismissal for lack of probable cause as it relates to Mr. Getsy. At the moment, what we have is he's not on video. The alleged victim has not implicated Mr. Getsy in the situation. At least one person who admittedly seems to have been involved in the altercation says that all Mr. Getsy was doing was trying to remove him from the altercation. That sounds like a peacemaking role, if anything, to me. Short of some allegation that he somehow struck the alleged victim or did something to participate other than what I guess Mr. Getsy and Mr. Smith both say, which is just to avoid or to end the altercation. I don't see how that would be a basis to charge him with participating. And I don't know why we would want to discourage people from peacemaking in such a situation. So for those reasons, John, I would ask that the charge be dismissed for lack of probable cause. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Attorney Freeman?
Thank you, Judge. We're asking that this one charge be bound over to Superior Court. We heard the testimony from Investigator Rogers that she spoke to a witness to the incident, correctional officer Blanks, who stated that Mr. Getsy was part of this incident involving inmate Coleman. He is not charged with an aggravated assault, but he is charged with penal riot. And so he and, as Investigator Rogers testified, there were about 5 or so inmates involved in this. I believe certainly we've met the burden of a probable cause, and we're asking that this one charge is bound over.
Okay, I have a question. So the inmates were fighting the victim, is that right?
Yes, they were.
And you could see on the video the other people fighting, you just couldn't see Mr. Getsy?
You couldn't see Getsy nor Smith. When the altercation occurred, they both ran to the side under the camera. But you see when the other inmates started to fight the victim, they pushed him like towards inmate Getsy and Smith. And during the whole altercation, inmate Getsy and Smith are under the camera until correctional officers come in with their OC spray and they spray them. And that's when you see Getsy and Smith run from under the camera with their hands up back towards their cells.
Okay. All right, so based upon the evidence presented, I do find that there is sufficient probable cause to bind this case over to the Superior Court of Clayton County. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Judge. And